laying back over the bolster, feel the heart space open. Really try to experience how it is to take a huge breath. The breath fills up the lungs and the belly. Feel how just relaxing the exhale out, almost like a sigh. It's almost like you can feel points of your blood pressure dropping down. Like, any stresses, any anxieties, any worries for this next hour, they're not on our plate anymore. We can think about them later, but for now, we're here, we're present, we're connected. And so from this beautiful, deeply relaxed state, we start to connect with our intention for class. The idea that I was thinking of for today is spring cleaning. So it's about that time of year. I don't know if you feel that energy going around your house, but I feel very much like I look around and it's like, you know what? Let's clean this over here. Let's dust this over here and open up the windows and let some fresh air in. And it just feels so fresh, so alive. It feels nice to get the stagnant out. And so I was thinking of that as our intention for our class today. Imagine even just by moving and breathing here, we're naturally cleaning our body, but I'll also include plenty of twists because to me, I imagine twisting as kind of resetting my spine. It's like if there's dusty spots that haven't been mobilized in a while, or that just feel extra tight, I imagine this is my chance to dust off the corners, get the washcloth out, wipe it down, and wring the washcloth out with a twist. So that's the thought that will lead us into our beautiful class today. So with that to get us started, let's begin first with these shoulders, waking up that part of our spine and our part of our back. So we're going to touch our forearms together in front of our chest. The elbows are touching, the wrists are touching. That'll be our exhale. With our slow inhale, the elbows open out wide like football goalposts. Good. So take the elbows together, slow exhale. Nice slow inhale, the elbows fall back open. We'll do a few more of those. Try to make the breath extra slow. We'll do another 3.
I'm breathing heavy.
2. And 1. Beautiful. Now slide the arms straight, backs of hands on the floor. The chest still arching up. And from here, we'll start to make kind of like a snowman shape where the backs of our hands rest on the floor. And we slowly drag the hands up toward the space above head. And then back down toward the hip area. So that wake up even a few more muscle groups across the shoulder area. So that nice arch up and back. And slowly trace the hands back down. Perhaps include the breath. Inhale up, 3. Exhale, slowly trace back down. Sliding up, 2. Last one. Beautiful. One more shoulder stretch. This right straight arm crosses over the chest. Left arm hugs around and pulls it in. And always know if that is not quite the shoulder stretch that you need for the right shoulder, adjust it. You push the shoulder further down away from ear. You can kind of point where the hand is further up or further down. You've got lots of variety. So find the angle that's perfect today. More good inhale. Exhale, let the arms swing open for a moment. And second side, left arm crosses over the body, hug it in. And readjust anything that helps the shoulder be in a slightly more pleasant stretch. One more inhale. Nice relaxing exhale. Arms spread back open. Feel how awake the shoulders and the upper back are. So beautiful inhale. Nice exhale. Beautiful. So leaving the bolster where it is at the back of the mat like this, we're going to roll off the bolster for a moment. Press our way up. And then we'll use the bolster to help us take a twist. So let's flip the knees, if they're not already there, over toward the right side of the mat or the front door side of the mat. Yep, so just up and then just tilt over to front door. Beautiful. So feet are tucked in, hands plant on each side of the bolster. Try to turn the sternum down toward middle of bolster. And slowly bend the elbows to lower the sternum directly down. You choose which ear feels best. And make sure the hands are released into a comfortable position. So feel how this is starting to communicate with the low back. So don't feel like we have to adjust into any sense of pressure for the low back. Instead, just let some good slow breaths flow. Low back just relaxing into this open, twisted shape. Just like how we gradually worked on the shoulders, that's where we are with the low back now. Feel how calming it is to breathe into belly space. Something about this position being very similar to a fetal position that takes us back to that comforting first stage of our life. So really let yourself be there, returning back to that place where you were safe and protected. So you've got an option here as the muscles have relaxed into this shape. You could simply continue to relax right here, right now. The second option would be to start deepening the twist. So you notice how the shoulders are trying to twist down toward bolster. The way that we would deepen the twist is help the hips to try to turn away from the bolster. So that would mean the top knee starts to get pulled backwards any amount. So if you like how that feels, great. If you get there and it's not quite as good, go ahead and return back to where we were. The breath shortened by deepening the twist. Try to return back to just as long of a breath as you had previously. As we're here for the last couple of breaths on this half, if you'd like to add in an aspect of hamstring stretch, the right leg, or the one that's more in front of us, that leg starts to straighten out. Maybe even the left hand grabs onto the calf or the foot to help it extend long to that space in front of the chest. I like to grab onto the toes or the foot if I can reach it, so that then the leg itself can just passively relax into that shape. Take another 3 breaths wherever you ended up. Last deep breath, like a spring cleaning for the back. Cobwebs wiped away. Good, and we'll slowly start to return. So let the legs bend, bring the hands under the shoulders, press your way gently, gently up. Take all the time you need to unwind. We were there for quite a while. When you're ready to tilt the knees up, facing forward, great. The knees eventually flip the other way. And we'll approach it just the same. So one hand on each side of the bolster. Sternum tries to rotate down. And as you bend the elbows, that helps us to lower directly down. Choose the ear that feels best on this. Notice if the fingers have any tension. Sometimes it's tiny areas like that that we don't even realize. See if the palms can just relax. And in doing so, it's like our body is a fractal. By changing the pattern on one part of the fractal, the rest of the pattern naturally follows suit. So by releasing hands to a more relaxed state, maybe other areas like the jaw or the shoulders or the hips start to relax just a little bit deeper. Check in with the low back. How is it receiving this shape? Is there any resistance that can be relaxed even further? Here, if the spine is ready to go a little deeper, the top knee can pull its way backwards a bit. Only if that feels nice. Imagine it's like that's us transitioning from the top shelf of nesting now down to the next shelf. What is here that needs to be wiped clean? So this is the point where if you'd like to stay, that's fine. If the left leg would like to slide a bit straighter, maybe that right hand grabbing onto toes to hold the leg in a passive shape, that is an option. You don't have to take it, it's only there if it feels like there's cobwebs that need to be kind of cleaned out of this spot. Try to keep the breath extra deep. And take 2 more belly breaths. After that second breath, we start to release. We find the hands on the floor, pressing into them, help us rise. Beautiful. Facing forward, let's have both feet planted, and we'll do a few nice windshield wipes. Just exploring through any tightness in those hips and the low back area. Beautiful. So as that feels pretty complete, we're going to use the bolster here to take a little bit of a back bend. Now, you'll have to play with it to find the amount that feels really good for your back. And you may have to slide the bolster slightly forward or backward based on how close your legs end up being to the back wall. But the idea is putting the thighs or the legs onto the bolster. You'll see that by having the hips up on the bolster, it allows 1 degree of bend to the low back versus having hips a bit further will be a bit different. It shifts it just a little bit deeper into the low back. So you'll have to play with exactly what intensity your hips and your low back are willing to handle, and also that is comfortable and helpful. So let yourself play with it for a moment. Scoot slightly forward, scoot slightly backward. Find the amount that's just right. The elbows nice and wide. The palms can be stacked, and that gives the head a little pillow, so that way the nose doesn't get squished. So oftentimes in our society, our seated posture makes the low back round backwards in a really arched shape. And it really is the lumbar spine, the lower back, that takes the brunt of that collapsed shape, at least in the seated position. And so this is a chance for that low back to get a gentle chance to arch forward finally. So let it receive that gentle spring cleaning. If ever it feels nice to let your hips rock just a little bit left and right, that could be a pleasant experience for a little while, and then returning eventually back to stillness. How the experience of the deep belly breath is yet different again. It's like by shifting our spine in these different ways, the breath is able to kind of cleanse the inside of our intestines in whole different ways. I imagine that as helping all the gunk that's been trapped in our intestines all winter. That's not quite how it works, but I imagine it like that. That slow gunk just stuck there in the edges. It's able to kind of work its way out. We're doing our nice spring cleaning for that area. We're heading toward our last couple of breaths here. Try to remind the deep belly breaths to be extra slow. One more huge inhale. Beautiful exhale. And then allow yourself to roll off the bolster to one side. Scoot the bolster away. And flop back onto your belly. We'll do a quad stretch before we wrap up in this shape. So elbows can be underneath us like Sphinx, but the left hand swivels in to prop us up. Right hand is free to start grabbing right toes. And once you've grabbed the foot, start to invite the toes closer to glute. That gets us into quad stretch. If you'd also like to get into the shoulders, sometimes I can do that by rotating the shoulders a bit more square forward. You can play with exactly what you need to do with the arm or the elbow based on what helps you to open shoulder up the best. But find a good position and take a couple of beautiful breaths. Just one more huge cycle. Deep inhale. Nice exhale. And with that release, let's switch sides. Grabbing your second foot, gently forward. Make sure you do experience something in your quad, maybe something in the shoulder too if there's some space there. One more huge breath goes in. And out. Good, release. Elbows come back underneath us one more time for the Sphinx, but then collapse through shoulders and drop the head down. The head weight heavy brings the back of the neck into a nice stretch. Just 3 more breaths right there. That third one, we'll head into a child's pose. So take it nice and slow. We were in back bends for a while. Eventually get those knees underneath you. Knees can be narrow or wide. As you slide the hips back, if you'd like to take bolster under forehead, that's fine. If you prefer the forehead on the ground, that's also beautiful. Feel the experience as if the back muscles are willing to be so much longer than they were at the start of the class. 3 more breaths, right? That third one, we start to rise up. After all this work we've done on the spine, we'll allow ourselves to lean laterally, but we're starting to invite the spine to just stay stacked upright. So it might be helpful to scoot yourself all the way up to have your spine sit up tall against the back wall. If you like it, if you prefer to be away, that's fine, but just constantly remind yourself to be tall. So we'll start off just easy with the legs, cross leg, whatever shin is in front, we'll switch in a little bit. Slide your bolster to your right hip. And then this bolster is going to support your right elbow. With the spine stacked tall, start to slide your back toward the right. Your right elbow's resting on the bolster in a way that eventually the head will just fall into that hand. So nice and easy. If this feels great, you can stay. If for all or part of the time, you'd like to take your left arm up and reach over, you could stay active there, or even passive, just the weight of that arm resting on the head. So you can play with that left arm. There's no strictness about what exactly we have to do. But let those side rib muscles and maybe even the shoulder have a chance to be stretching through the long waist area. Three more breaths here. Release the left arm and then gradually, very slowly, gently rise up. When you're ready for the second side, switch the bolster. Keep the spine tall. Yep, switch the legs. We'll start to slide the left elbow out. Spine still stacked against wall, nice and long. And eventually the head falls into that hand. Option to take the right arm up and over if you like it. It can be passive for all or part of the time. It could be active for all or part of the time. Imagine the breathing into belly space is again a new way to do spring cleaning for the guts. About 3 more breaths. all three, take your time, no rush to rise out. It's like 1 inch at a time, helps to make sure those back muscles won't cramp up. And then from here, we're going to take 2 forward folds. The first one will be a cobbler's pose, and then the second one will be a wide angle forward fold. With all the work we've done on the spine so far, the goal will be to try to keep the spine straight for the forward fold today. So there's kind of 3 classes that you can play with for this. The first option would be just sitting up against the wall and just letting the wall help you be tall. Second option would be lifting yourself up onto bolster so that the spine is more easily able to stay stacked from the hip perspective. And then the third option would be away from wall and bolster, even using bolster in front, but using this to help remind you. As I tilt forward, I'm going straight. So you don't have to tilt if you want to stay against wall. If you're going forward, try to remind yourself, I'm staying straight today. I'm trying to remind my spine that it doesn't have to be so hunched all the time. I can stay straight, I can stay tall, I can stay long. So whichever of those kind of 3 classes you'd like to play with today, take it. No pressure, any of the directions. Sometimes I'll naturally reach a point where I'd like to switch exactly what I'm doing. So that might be re-lengthen and tilt a little more. It might mean switching to a new variation. Got all sorts of room to play with. If there's any adjustments that want to happen at this point, go right ahead. We're about halfway through the cobbler's pose here. About 3 more breaths. Good. So after that 3rd breath, the wide angle pose is a whole different monster. It's a lot more about hamstrings than the hips. And so maybe you want to switch to a different variation, go back to wall. Maybe you want to use bolster. Maybe this one you want to be away from it all. So play with it. Again, I'll give you a halfway point. So if you find yourself in one variation and you're not that happy, you have a chance to completely adjust. Not that you're stuck at any point, but kind of play with the first variation that seems like it's helpful for the body. Trying to keep the spine as long as possible. Sometimes I have to remind myself from that very low back hip area to pull just a little bit taller. We're at about that halfway point. If there's things that want to shift for the second half, great. There's no pressure to either. 3 more breaths. Third one, we rise up to a comfortable place. Legs can be any arrangement that's comfortable. And we give our neck another moment, kind of wrapping up with that very highest part of the spine. So from a very tall stacked place up to shoulders, let's start to drop the chin slowly down to chest, head weight down nice and heavy. Begin to roll your head over to the right shoulder. If you find good juicy spots that need some focus, pause for a little bit. Sometimes this is slightly in front of the shoulder. Sometimes it's slightly behind the shoulder. So keep on playing until you find a spot that would be nice to pause at. We'll be there about 5 breaths or so. With that 5th breath completing, eventually you'll begin to work your chin back down to chest. Pausing there. Let's begin to work over to the left side. Head gradually makes its way over towards left shoulder. Explore for a moment. Feel what it is like, slightly in front of shoulder, slightly behind shoulder. And when you find a nice juicy spot where you'd like to pause, let's take a few good breaths there. Begin to roll chin back down to chest. Head rises back up. We're gonna head down onto our back. When we're laying on the ground, we'll keep the left leg long. We'll take the right knee in. we'll take one last twist here. So that bent right knee is going to head across the body into a twist. You might choose a floating quality where the knee is just hovering above the ground. That would allow gravity to try to continue to invite the leg deeper and deeper, invite those back muscles into the stretch. If instead you'd like the passive quality, slide the bolster under the knee and just rest in the twist. One more deep breath for this half. Gradually ease your body out. Eventually the right leg is slid long. When you're ready there, left knee comes in. We start to melt into the twist. You use bolster on first side, switch it over. Otherwise, perhaps that floating quality feels really good here. Next breath in. Easy exhale, unwind. If there's other wiggles you need before Shavasana, you can take them. If you're ready to just relax, that's fine. Bolster can be anywhere that's nice. It could be slid under the knees. You could return it under the back like how we started class. Or you could just lay here nice and flat, spine open, tall, relaxed. Feel how cleaning out the spine helps the rest of the body feel much more at ease. The biggest complaint I hear from a lot of people is back pain, because when that's hurting, it affects everything. So feel here, the spine long, tall, straight. It's like we've taken all the cobwebs out. Feel how easily the breath flows when the spine is feeling better. So as we're resting for these last few minutes, just breathing, imagine it's like we've opened up the window, letting the fresh air in. So just enjoy breathing that fresh air. The stagnancy is left. You begin to deepen the inhales, exhales. Start to introduce little movements back to the body. Stretching out in ways that feel really good. If you'd like to take a fetal position to one side, you're welcome to roll over. And rising when you feel ready and present. Here with hands together in front of the heart, we take a moment to connect back to our intention. Spring cleaning. And this is a great time of the year to start listening to our body. What can I do? What can I feed it? What can I exercise it? What can I do physically to help the body in this internal world for the spring cleaning? Perhaps other external things as well. Cleaning out our environment so that our mind doesn't have so much that it has to remember and focus on. And so with this cleaner, more simplified life to help lead us on, let's wrap up the time that we shared together with the sound of Om. Deep inhale now. May we be filled with light and happiness and peace. Namaste.